lately on my social media, I've run into so many creators saying how enlightening and freeing it is to just drop everything and move to a new country. And like, yeah, it can be that easy for some people, but typically this kind of content, it doesn't really show you the realistic full picture of all the things that you could encounter when moving abroad. Showing only one side of the story can feel so alienating for the people that took the step to move to a new country and that are realizing that, you know, it wasn't an experience that was sold to them. And rather than feeling excited or happy about starting a new life, they feel confused and lonely. That's when you start feeling like there's something wrong with you, that you should be feeling happy, that you should be more excited, maybe you're doing something wrong, or that maybe you're an ungrateful person for not taking full advantage of the experience. Which, let's make it clear, that is not the case. Whatever you're feeling at the moment, it's so valid. You don't have to feel a certain way or act a certain way just because the people around you seem like they have everything figured out. I'm gonna share my top 3 things that I've struggled with the most throughout these years and give you some tips of how to navigate through these situations to make things a bit better. In my country this, in my country that. Back in Mexico we did this, back in the Dominican we did that. 80% of my sentences used to start like this. I used to do this all the time, and honestly, I still do it a lot because I love my country and I am proud of where I come from, but that's not the point. The point is that yes, it's valid to compare your current experience to the experiences that you had back home, but you need to understand that things will not be the same as they were back home, and you shouldn't expect it to be. Being fixated in this mentality of back home this and back home that is stopping you from really appreciating all the experiences and all the good things that your new country is trying to provide for you. Moving from the Dominican Republic to Mexico, I didn't experience as much cultural shock because the way that people behaved was very similar between the two countries. However, when I moved to Canada, it was a completely different story. I rejected everything about my new city. I didn't want to be there and it just wasn't home for me, which was a waste of my time because at the end of the day, that kind of attitude was only affecting me. I was complaining all the time. I wanted everything to be the way it was when I was living in Mexico. What I advise you to do is not spend so much time fixated on the things that you want to be different or the things that are lacking, but rather focus more on the things that are positive about the new experience. I couldn't move back to Mexico. It was out of my control. So instead, I should have been working on things that were within my reach, because constantly thinking about all these things that I had left behind were only making me feel like I was excluded from my group. But at the end of the day, I was alienating myself so much from my group just by the fact that I thought that everything back home was better and that I could never potentially build a good life for myself in Canada. I wouldn't change anything because I think that helped me grow and learn to the point that I am today. But I wish I had spent some of that time doing more productive things rather than hating on absolutely everything. So focus on the positive things and focus on the things that you can control. If you can't see anything positive out of the situation, try to see what it comes to teach you and how you can apply those teachings to other aspects of your life. How they're gonna help you grow to become a better, smarter, wiser person in the future. Loneliness. Moving to a new country is so lonely at times. I would have thought that the more I do it, the easier it would get. But lately, I've found that the older I get, the more difficult it is to start over because I'm starting to realize what my priorities are. I'm starting to appreciate my family and friends a lot more than I used to when I was younger. So it just becomes more difficult to let that go, to start over, especially when life gets super real and all you want to do is be close to your support system. Nothing is gonna completely remove the feeling of loneliness, and it's also like not a bad way to feel this way. It's just another feeling. The key is to know how to manage your loneliness through those moments. What helps me the most during those days, it's trying to find like a new hobby or a new movie and basically build something in my new home that makes me excited about being there. Basically finding an activity that is for your own happiness and enjoyment and that almost feels like you're taking yourself out on a date. For instance, my last year of university, I was away from my parents and my family, and I had just been through a breakup, so I was feeling extra lonely in the Canadian winter going through all that. And I decided to join a pole dancing class, which I sucked at, but I was having the time of my life. So as long as you're happy about the hobby that you pick up, go for it and enjoy yourself. Why not? As long as you're being safe and responsible and respecting people. My second technique is finding a podcast or a podcast episode or a show that really connects with the way you're feeling and makes you feel like you're not going through these moments alone. I have about 5 podcast episodes on my Spotify that are always downloaded, and whenever I'm feeling a little anxious or a little lonely at times, I just replay them. They really bring me back to center and they genuinely help me become more reassured in myself. What I'm saying is do things that enrich your soul, build a healthy environment for yourself, and foster habits and techniques that help you through these lonely moments. You know, maybe you won't fit in, but that's okay. I definitely didn't fit in when I moved to Canada. I tried so hard to fit in and to be accepted. You know what the problem was? The problem isn't not fitting in. The real problem was trying to be someone that I wasn't for the sake of fitting in. Looking back, I should have been myself and have 1 or 2 or maybe no friends, rather than trying to surround myself with people that didn't align with my values and that didn't align with the vision that I had for myself and for my future, and surround myself with people that didn't inspire me to become the best version of myself. On the short run, while I did get the validation of being surrounded by a lot of people and having a lot of friends, I wasn't being myself all the time. So I didn't feel a genuine connection to the people around me. And I was putting up with things that made me feel uncomfortable, things that gave me a lot of anxiety, and things that I genuinely didn't want to be a part of. Back then, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I thought that cutting people off was gonna close doors for me or that I wasn't gonna be good for my networking. But the minute that I stopped doing things to please people before doing what felt good for me, that's when my mental health took a complete turn. Because I was finally listening to my body and I was finally listening to myself. And you know what? It's one life. Time you spend living in a lie is time that you will never get back. And as long as you're respecting people's boundaries and respecting people's rights, why do you have to change anything about yourself? The only people that should matter to you are the people that love you and respect you for being yourself. Cliche, but you're the only you out there. Just be yourself. It's better to not fit in than to completely pretend to be something you're not and live your life filled with anxiety, with no boundaries, and being surrounded by toxic people that have nothing to bring into your life other than drama. I really hope that these tips helped you. I know it's so difficult to move to a new country. So I really hope that you can take something out of this video. And if you have any other concerns or questions, please do not hesitate to leave them down in the comments or DM me or like reach me however you want. Well, just don't show up to like my house. But yeah, I will see you next week.